Mobile apps have become integral to everyday life for most of us. In fact, there are millions of Android apps with wide-ranging purposes available for users to download. But, as an aspiring mobile developer, you may be wondering, what are the different components that go into making these Android apps? Let's find out by exploring the anatomy or structure of an Android app. An Android app is made up of 4 major components that serve as the building blocks of any Android app in the market. Each component has its own purpose and unique behavior. These major components are activities, services, broadcast receivers, and content providers. Let's unpack each of these major components in turn. An activity is a class considered an entry point for users that represents a single screen. It is like the window or frame in Kotlin. With the help of activity, you can place all your user interface or UI components or widgets on a single screen. For example, a music player app may have an activity that shows you a list of your favorite songs, another activity that allows you to play a specific song, and another which shows you a list of trending songs. Each activity is independent of the others. Then, there's the services component, which runs in the background, serving as the invisible background worker of any Android application. Its function is to constantly update the data sources and activities with the latest changes. It also performs tasks when users are not active on applications. A good example of a service is chatting with someone whilst listening to music. Another component is the broadcast receivers component. Its purpose is to respond to messages from other applications or systems in real time. To illustrate, imagine you are enjoying your favorite song on your music app when you get a notification that you're running low on battery power. Have you ever wondered how you get notifications like this? Well, broadcast receivers are responsible for such activities. This example is just one of many use cases of this component. Content providers is the last major component and is responsible for sharing data between one or more applications. This kind of operation is based on request. A typical example is a social media app that allows users to share their images online. The app can show you all the images from your gallery with the help of content providers. These Android components are coupled by a configuration file called android_manifest.xml. It is used to specify each component and how they interact with each other. Let's explore this configuration file. In Android Studio, I have the project folder for an example application, as well as its Android manifest file open. This is a configuration file that is required by all Android apps and defines the major components of the app. It also contains information about what the app needs in order to run on an Android device. One of the major components, activity, is defined in this file already. Currently, it has specified details such as name, label, and theme. However, let's further expand the file by defining another major component, such as a receiver. To do this, I'll start by adding a line below the activity block and typing receiver Android:name equals and then .receiver within quotes. I then end with a / and right angle bracket. Next, I can add a services subclass to this receiver by advancing to the next line and adding an indent before typing service Android name equals .service inside of angle brackets. Finally, let's add a content provider for this receiver. On the next line, I type left angle bracket provider and then follow with lines for Android:authorities and Android:name. I won't define the receiver component in detail in this example, but this should give you an idea of what type of information is typically expressed in the Android manifest file. For now, I'll delete the additions I've made, but later you'll explore how to use the Android manifest file in depth for configuring your application with all major components. You now know more about the major components that make up Android apps. Well done! You're making great progress towards creating your very own project in Android Studio.